welcome everybody to the publishing process, how bloggers have changed the game pen. Okay, it's going to be a great time. I'm going to first introduce our panelists. We have, beside me, Marilee Heifetz. Hello. We have Alexandra Bracken. We have Christine Riccio. Hello. We have Andrew Santone. And we have Emily Meehan. Hello. All right. So, first, I just want to ask you guys, quickly, we'll start off with, what is your role? What do you do?
Well, I am a literary agent at Writer's House, and I am very fortunate to be Alexandra's agent. And so my job was hooking her up with Hyperion, which I did as soon as I had the amazing manuscript that I hope many of you have read. So my relationship to blogging is not quite as direct. I know that how important, an influential blogger and blogger is. They're amazingly influential, especially these days. But my own knowledge of them was pretty thin. Like, my authors would say, well, this blogger wants to interview me, or this blogger, and I sort of send it off to the publisher and say, have you ever heard of these people? But I found that there are websites you can go to, like Technorati, which will tell you, at least based on how many other sites link back to a site, what kind of an influence it actually has. So as I said, my role is more observing than actually taking part.
I'm Alex. I'm the one who wrote the book. Thanks for coming, guys. It's been so interesting from an author's point of view to see the book reviewer world change so much from the moment my first book came out in 2010 to now, when it seems like we've moved into more of a digital realm rather than blogging. Just traditionally, we're now onto a lot of booktubing. So I'm excited, and thanks for coming.
I'm Christine Riccio, and I'm a YouTuber, a booktuber. My booktube channel is youtube.com/PolandBananasBooks. Yeah, it's a weird name. And
you have to give the backstory.
I can't even give a backstory. It's too long. I have a video about it. You can go check that out. But yeah, so I'm a booktuber, and I'm going to say it again, because now publishing people, you guys, even sometimes, there's a difference between blogging and vlogging, and that's a new thing that publishing companies are finally starting to differentiate. But even now, they're like, oh yeah, you're a blogger, and I'm like, I've never had a blog. But yeah, there's a really big difference in the reach, and blogging is great and it does a lot. But as a YouTuber, I feel like I reach a lot more people. I'm getting more than 800,000 views a month. Every post gets at least, 20,000 views, and ranges from 20,000 to 50,000. So it reaches a broader amount of people, and I get to encourage a lot of people to read, and it's super fun.
I want to try this one. Hello, I'm Andrew. I do marketing. I think we should change the name. Do you guys agree with me that we should call it? I like the name BookTube. Yes. That's what she does. I mean, that assumes you have to be on YouTube, but that's where most people, a lot of people are doing it. And I want to not say vlog anymore. Can we agree to that?
Yeah, I mean, they're just starting to say vlog.
I just don't like it. Well, I do marketing, so we'll talk more about what we do, I guess.
I'm Emily, and I am Alex's editor. So when I read The Darkest Minds on Submission, I called Marilee and said, what can I do to make this mine? So that's my job. But after the book comes out, obviously everybody's really excited about it in our own small world in publishing. But then when it comes out, it's even more exciting, because then you get a video by Poland Bananas. And when I first saw that video, I don't remember if it was Andrew sent it to me or I sent it to Andrew or whatever. I was like, have you seen this video? It is bananas. like somebody out there felt the same way about this book, even more, maybe even more emphatically, than we did. So that was really gratifying, and it's been really exciting to see this whole booktubing thing happen, because some of us have been in publishing for longer than others, and that didn't exist even 5 years ago. So,
Brilliant. Okay, so those are our awesome panelists. I think I should probably introduce myself a little bit. My name is Ariel. I am also a booktuber. I have a YouTube channel, just my name because I'm unoriginal. It's Ariel Bissett. I, like Christine, I do book videos on YouTube. So yes, this panel is all about talking about specifically the Alexander Bracken, Christine Riccio experience.
There you go, partnership.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours long. No. So we're going to be talking, like the panel's name says, it's about how amazing the blogging format is and how incredible of a resource it is for the publishing industry. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a couple of questions for here, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A because we want to get to all of your questions if possible. So first, I'm going to ask a specific question to our two kind of guests here. Christine, you kind of touched on it. Blogging and vlogging are very different.
Yeah.
How?
Well, I mean, they're completely different in the mindset of even making it. I mean, with a blog, you're writing a piece. And with a vlog or a video, you're trying to be entertaining, like, outward with yourself. You're using your body, your physical self. And it's just a completely different mindset. And I personally, not being a blogger, I can't compare it in that way, like how you think about, going about writing a written review. I take notes, and then I spend 11 hours making my review. and it takes a lot, I think a lot longer because I have to do the editing of the video. And the video editing is a long process.
But it goes down to 10 minutes?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll film for like 1 to 2 hours, and I'll cut that down. That's the filming chunk of that 11 hours is like 1 to 2 hours, and then I'll cut that down to 15 minutes. For Never Fame, it was like a half-an-hour video. but normally, it's like 15 minutes. What was the question here? How is it different? Again, I think another difference is the reach, just because, it's more, I reach people that don't read, because bloggers, I think most people like to read because they're reading your blog. I bring in people who don't know reading exists, and then they see me acting like a crazy person, and they're like, why are you so passionate about that book? And then they pick it up, and they read it, and they like reading. They discover reading, and they start reading the books that I recommend, and it's just wonderful. I've had so many people contact me and be like, I wasn't a reader, but then I started watching you, and like, I picked up books. So it's really nice.
Yeah, one of the things I've really noticed about comparing traditional book blogging with booktubing, I keep wanting to say blogging, but I agree booktubing is a nicer phrase, is that when you're watching someone be so excited and so animated, I mean, we would jump in and out of the frame, you can look at your hair, I got hair whipped once, so it's awesome. Sorry. But you just are, as you're watching it, it's so much easier to just absorb that energy and that excitement, whereas you have to be, I think, a very skilled writer to convey your, true level of excitement about a book, unless you're using GIFs, but you know what I mean? I think, in your personality is what is attracting people, and then you become, it's not like a cult of personality, but people get to know you so much better.
I feel like you're friends with you, and
yeah,
that's what the relationship you want with your readers.
Yeah, because it's almost like they're interacting with you, except it is actually one-sided.
Yeah. I mean, I do read all the comments, so it's two-sided, but it's a different process.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you got to get into the Christine Riccio filming experience, which is crazy. It's absolutely insane. You got to film with her, and so I wanted to ask you how filming was, how it was to get into that, and then afterwards you got to see the feedback. Do you go back and do you read those comments? Do you watch that video over and over? How do you interact with it?
The videos have 20,000 views because my mom and I sit there. Okay, so I have to be honest that I found your book talk for The Darkest Minds, and Christine's book talks are her reviews where you're so animated, you're so excited, and you're really engaging with the viewer. I found it, I think it came up in one of my Google alerts, and I watched it, and I was like, wow, I think she's more excited about my book than I am. Did I scare you? Well, I was just like, wow, she really loves it, and she isolate myself a little bit, because I think if you read too many good reviews, it's bad, and if you read too many bad reviews, it's also bad. As a writer, just too many voices in your head. But I watched it all the way through because I was like fascinated by the fact that you were like also starting discussions and like they would pick it up in the comments. And so Andrew suggested that we get together because you're based in New Jersey and I'm based here in New York. And so I took a car out and I downed a bottle of Mountain Dew because I was so convinced that I was not going to have the energy to keep up with Christine when she was recording. And it was so like, you were so calm. Were you nervous?
I was a little nervous, but you did great. Like, you know, it's nerve-wracking when you haven't talked to the person beforehand, but like, I think it went well.
I feel like one of the reasons it worked well for us is that we like all of the same things. So for like 20 minutes of the 2 hours, we inevitably spent talking about like team goals. So that, like, so
Yeah, it gelled well.
What we really wanted to do actually was surprise Poland Bananas with you. And you would just come in, she would be doing a video and you would just appear somehow. But we found that like logistically impossible to do. It never happened.
It would have been awesome.
But I love
that would
reaction.
have been cool. Or he would have been
I would have been
terrible.
so unprepared. But what if you meet an author and you don't have questions prepared? Just like, I like your books, hi.
But I was so impressed because you have such a professional setup with the lights and the camera and the action clap that you do.
Went to film school.
Meanwhile, I'm not even looking at the camera lens. I'm looking at the video recording. It was so much fun though, and you're an easy person to talk to begin with, and yeah.
We all love Christy Richards.
And then I did for both. So we did, I guess technically, like four.
Yeah, we did four.
We have 2 for the first one, and 2 for the second time we did a recording. I did go back and I read the comments for like the first day, and they're all funny because they're all like, "How did you meet her? Are you friends?" And we're like,
How old is she? Is she like 20?
"How tall is she?" One was like, "I thought she was Russian." Because they're thinking like Alexandra or something. Like opens this whole new door because they don't know what Alex looks like or what she's like, and getting to know her makes you want to read the book more. And so many people are like, "Oh my God, Christine! Like I know you love this book, but now I have to read it because the author is so cool." Yeah, and then when I go to conferences now, or when I was at Y'all Fest in Charleston, I don't know if anyone has been, it's so much fun. Literally my entire signing line was, I saw the video, I saw Christine's video, I saw the video you did with Christine, I saw the video that Christine said I had to read it, so I had to read it. So, you are reaching a ton of people. You're like the Oprah of YA books.
I have to say, it's very, as a marketer, it's very fulfilling when you see a comment on YouTube and it's just like, you know, it says, "Now I will read this." And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, that kind of blends perfectly well into our next question, which is, why do you guys think, and this is open to everyone, why do you guys think that blogging, booktubing, is so incredibly successful? Why is it such a great medium? I think you did mention it's that personality factor. Like, I feel like I'm Christine's friend when I'm watching it. I'm sitting down and talking with a friend.
I think it's also genuine. Like, it can't be manufactured, because I think people see through that.
They pick up on that.
And I think that's why Christine has so much, I don't know, like I call you Poland Bananas so much in the office that it feels weird to call you by your real name. It is Bananas. I think that's why she has so much credibility, is because like the reviews are always honest and they're always like, you know, genuine, and that's the way The Darkest Minds evolved. She's just a fangirl of, you know, the series. So to us, that's what, you know, we can't manufacture that.
I also think, to answer the question in a more general way too, it has to do with the fact that it is different. I mean, everybody reads, well, everyone who reads about books, you read book reviews, and you've been doing it for years. But this is a different way, and I think that you are reaching more people who, as you say, might not have been readers. But you're also reaching readers who might not be book review readers. And that's a big group that we always want to reach in book publishing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, like, furthermore, it just exposes it to so many people. I think that that's a really big part of it. Because so many people watch online video, right? YouTube is huge.
Yeah.
YouTube's big.
Yeah.
But it's all, I think it's, you know, it's in every product category, every industry, video is big. So it just only makes sense that if you do it right for books, it's going to be, people are going to like it. But I think like when Darkest Minds came out, I started to notice that there were book reviews. I mean, I think I noticed yours first, but it was better quality than maybe ones that I had seen before. And I think that matters a lot, because if someone's in their room and it's dark and it's just their, camera, their computer
They're lit
camera,
by their laptop.
it's not, it doesn't bring you in, and so staging I think is important. But before that, when you search, I don't know, when did Darkest Minds come out? 2012?
Yeah.
Well, so before that, I feel like when I would search a book, I would find fan trailers for the most part, which you guys know what fan trailers are. You take I mean, they're all different, but basically you take movie clips and you take stuff that's not yours and you just compile this awesome movie version of a book. And those are great too. Those are cool and fun, but then, I don't know, I think it was just that there was a critical mass of views that your videos were getting, and the other booktubers, and they just started appearing in search first. So when you would search something on YouTube, instead of seeing a fan trailer, you would see a review, which was kind of cool, because the reviews are pretty in-depth, and you even have spoilers.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get the whole book.
Yeah, that's perfect. Our next question that we have is, and this is more, I guess, for the publishing industry side of it, and more specifically for, I guess, Disney, Hyperion. What strategies have you guys started to implement to try or what kind of ideas do you have to start to implement blogging into your promoting of books? How do you think that it can fit in? Would you just continue to do author?
Yeah, I think it's, with this specific case study for Darkest Minds, it made a lot of sense because Christine loved the book already.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, okay, we should just try to, I don't think you'd ever done an author or interviewed an author before, right? So it was just like, let's have them meet up and they'll talk, and it'll give Alex some exposure, and I think all, we couldn't do our own. We would need a personality in-house to do our own video blogging, and that's something that you really can't.
So you think it's important to reach out to the people that are already established in the community, people that already have that fan base, so that you can reach out to them and do projects with them.
And again, it brings in a genuine thing.
Yeah.
We love books.
Yeah, because we've discussed previously the concept that when you have channels that are run by publishing houses, someone's getting a phone call. When you have channels, for example, that are run by publishing houses, you always have that in the back of your mind. They're trying to sell these books. These books are what they're supposed to get out there. But with Christine, she's going to tell you her honest opinion, and you know that she's going to make it really exciting. And there isn't, again, it's that genuine sense.
Yeah, we'll make trailers, we'll make book trailers, but we won't do personality like BookTube. We don't. I mean, I think maybe some houses do. Maybe they have someone in house who's a video blogger, but then you're right. It is kind of partial. Like, unless you review all books, I think people are pretty smart and they know that this is like the Hyperion channel or ex-publisher channel.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking a lot about YouTube. I want to ask Christine, anybody, how do you think that YouTube goes with all of the other social medias? Because we've seen a lot of people using book blogging, right? We're talking about book blogging here. YouTube is a different one. Twitter, how do you relate all of it back to YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a whole different, YouTube is the platform, and then we spread the word through the social medias. It's kind of a different approach, I feel like. I use my social medias to show people that I have a new video, and that's basically what I use. I do really use it when I'm reading, and I'll be like, oh, I'm reading this book, or Goodreads, like, oh, I'm reading this, and I'm on page this. But for the most part, my social media is my videos, and obviously my Twitter has like my personal feelings and stuff. But yeah, that's the main way that I intertwine the two with my YouTube videos. Sorry.
No, that makes perfect sense. All right, we want to open this up to the floor because we really want to get any questions, any thoughts you have in your head. Share them. In the way.
Hi, this is a question I guess for Andrew and for Marilee. Have you done any tracking of the hits that the blogs get and how that may or may not translate into sales?
Okay, so she's asking, if, just to make sure everybody hears, she's asking, have you been tracking how many views and hits, comments it gets, and how that translates directly to sales?
It's hard, yeah, it's hard to translate that exactly, because normally the book goes on sale, it goes on shelves, and at the same time we're doing a lot of stuff for it. And so it's hard to, you know, without, the answer is really we don't, but I would guess that the more if you go online and you look at any book, you can get a good sense of how it's selling by how much stuff is online. Go to Google image search, see how much fodder there is. There's a party over there.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, no, you can't tell exactly, like, if someone, you know, there is those comments that I was talking about where someone says, I'm going to go buy the book, and you just have to take them for their word, but you can't track it as well as we might want to do that. But certainly 20,000 views for a video is really good and has to do something. So.
I mean, I'm not the marketing director, but the BookTube community, like you can see through the BookTube community how popular a book is, just because, like, if I do a review of it, because I have a lot of subscribers and people will see it, and then a lot of, like, and we subscribe to each other, obviously, the booktubers, and then they'll read the book and do a review, and then their subscribers will see it and do a review if they like it, and it's just a really cool explosion within the community. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I wish there was a way to know. It's, you know, sometimes a book will have like a really cool trailer and everybody's looking at the trailer, but the book isn't really selling. And instead of having, you know, a best-selling book, you're having a best-viewed trailer. And so, you know, you want what I usually say to my clients who ask, well, what can I do? Because a lot of authors, you know, some authors are just not as lucky as Alex to have this awesome team here, or, you know, they're, for whatever reason, they're a little bit more on their own. And they always ask me, well, what can I do? You know, what should I be doing? Should I be tweeting? Should I be blogging? And I just always say, just know why you're doing whatever you're doing. You know, think about what it is you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and what effect you want it to have. And it's not so much what you do, it's how you're doing it. And I think the same probably applies here. But clearly, if something is getting huge numbers of hits like this, then, you know, there's definitely, we certainly have seen, you know, seen an uptick in sales too.
I think it's understandable that it would be really impressive for sales because it's the perfect demographic, right? The majority of Christine's audience and most of people that watch BookTube are females between the ages of 13 and 17, and then the second demographic is females from 17 to 24. That's what you want to sell young adult books to, and that's the majority of readers, right?
And they're not just like casual readers, they're like hardcore book addicts.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to talk to them, and that's what the audience is.
Well, the one thing that booktubers do so well is that they encourage word of mouth. That's like the magic phrase. That's why it's so hard to track anything specifically. It's that they're talking about it and they're making their viewers familiar with the book, so the next time they're in the bookstore, they're like, oh yeah, Christine told me that she liked this. Or Christine said she loved this, then they're more likely. But yeah, I wish there were a way to really track it. But.
Well, that's why, like, I feel like it's actually easier to quantify now that there are things like, you know, how many page views and all that kind of thing, because, I mean, publishers, I think, have always relied on word of mouth. And so that really hasn't changed. That landscape hasn't changed, and I guess in marketing is all about that. But I think now that we have this, you know, this booktubing phenomenon and, you know, blogging, everything like that, the community, the online community chatting, we can actually see it more. It's more visible. And so, and definitely in the case of The Darkest Minds, which has been out now for 2 years, we've seen that the series is growing exponentially. And I think throughout my career, certainly, whenever there's this much conversation happening about a series, wherever it's taking place, that's always a sign that, you know, obviously people are connecting with it. So I think that, you know, we have a literal sense of it in these click-through things, and whether or not we can actually correlate them directly to sales, it's sort of, is an obvious conclusion based on that.
Yeah, does anyone else have a question? Over there in the black.
For Christine, I just wondered that first YouTube video you put up when you had 0 subscribers to now, what do you feel are the key things that you've done to draw people to your channel and build the audience that you've built?
Well, when I posted my first book video, I did have like 300 subscribers. I wasn't at 0 because I was making like music videos. I do other types of videos as well.
She does really funny parody, just
Yeah, I do like sketches and stuff. Yeah, so I had that, but my first book vlog was like really bad. It was the first time I ever just talked to the camera. And since then, I mean, I've gotten better from just doing it. The more you do it, the better you get, and the better you get at speaking. You will have all that stuff to edit out, and you get better at editing. Like, you watch the editing in my first videos. It's so choppy and ridiculous. So I've gotten better at editing. I've gotten better at speaking. I got a camera. First, I got like a Canon Vixia, and then when I knew I really was interested in this, and I went to film school, so I wanted a camera. I got a Canon 60D, and at first I added lights. You know, first I was just using a window, and sometimes it goes dark, sometimes it goes light, but you get lights. You don't need the big studio lights. Like at first, I was taking every light in the house, just pointing it at me, and I take off the shades because if you take off the shades, it's a lot brighter. I just positioned them in a circle around me. At first I didn't have a tripod, I had a webcam. And I put it on a table. So like you get a tripod, you get the camera, you get the lights, and then you get a microphone when you're ready. And then you replace those million lights from the house so you don't have to go get them all the time, and you get some studio lights. I mean, they're not that expensive. Like I got mine for like $300, but that's because I really knew I wanted them. But now you have them. And then, like, the camera is expensive, but there's other options for cameras. And you just need to have HD. And HD footage you can get using your iPhone nowadays, so it's not too hard. But yeah, you just kind of get better as you go, and you implement all these little things to make yourself better, your videos better. But really, I mean, the basis is you. You have to love what you're doing, you have to have fun when you're doing it, and you have to let your personality go.
yeah, you really hone your style.
Yeah.
As you
When was the first one? When did you make the first one? How many years? Because now you have like 100.
March of 2010 is when I put my first
2010,
video up. Yeah.
2014.
But like, I didn't start, consistency is a huge thing in building an audience, and I didn't start consistently making book videos until 2012. So that's when it really started picking up.
How do you find your books?
I used to just find them myself, but now I find them through BookTube. Or from what I know, like Buzz from different publishing companies. But I used to find all of them from Liz. She did this series called This Week in YA, and that's how I found The Darkest Minds. She just talked about what was coming out this week, and and I saw The Darkest Minds. And was like, that looks like a really cool book. And I went out and bought it and read it.
Great. In the stripes, right there.
Hi there, I'm a booktuber and a book blogger, and I was just wondering, how have bloggers changed the game?
That's the name of this
Panel.
panel, isn't
I
it?
feel like
We need to answer this question.
Yeah,
Bloggers.
Bloggers.
That's another thing.
Oh, bloggers.
Yeah, I think that this was that's another thing. Like they don't know that vlogging is what it's called, not blogging. And that was the thing when they were like, when I was asked on the panel, they're like, blogging. I was like, it's called vlogging. I'm a vlogger, not a blogger. That's the thing. So it's another thing with the publishing companies, just realizing the difference.
do you feel like bloggers don't have any impact?
I think they do. Yeah.
No, they
No, not at all.
You just
They
don't know
definitely
it.
do.
I
Yeah.
think they do. I think it's not as big of an impact because it just doesn't reach as broad of an audience because it's video. Like, video and reading. It's movie and book. It's always, the movie will, it's hard to explain in words that, I don't want to insult bloggers because that's not what I'm saying at all.
I think part of it is that it's easier to watch a video than it is to read a review. That sounds terrible to say,
But we're lazy people in America.
I think it's also true that blogging is really just writing about books, and putting it on the internet, which is really no different from writing book reviews and publishing them. I mean, in a sense.
Or writing book reviews on a website that sells books, and you find that the pattern is better.
Yeah, it was really good.
Well, I would say we do humongous mailings to bloggers, just so there's no it's not like anybody is, I think that we have always seen, since bloggers sort of took the stage, in terms of getting, like I said, word of mouth out there, we are really conscious to engage our blogging community from the very beginning, with our Big Mouth mailings and NetGalley and all those kinds of ways to reach people who are really passionate book fans, because it's, hey, it's free marketing for us if you like our book, and so I think that can't be discounted. I think, there's just different reaches, like Christine's saying. I think bloggers reach the book community in a really big and important way, whereas somebody who's on a platform like YouTube with somebody who's just like noodling around, and you might not, that's like what Christine was saying before, you might reach somebody who's actually, has only read 5 books in their lives. So I think it's just a different muscle, and it's definitely something that we, work as actively in our marketing efforts.
Yeah, I think the big point is that they're different.
Yeah.
Blogging and blogging are very
to,
different.
yeah.
And they can both do very effective things. Like you said, word of mouth is incredibly important in publishing, and they're both able to do that just in different audiences and to a different degree.
Yeah, I think some people do both too.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are definitely bloggers and booktubers.
Yeah.
It
I don't know how
happens.
they have time, but.
With the polka dots.
I'm going to jump. I think a lot of the skills that Christine and me talking about are actually directly transferable to writing a review. Having personality is having a voice. Editing is transferable as well. I guess the feeling in the room right now is that there's a little bit of hierarchy being established in terms of booktubers and book bloggers. Maybe I'm making that clear. So
That is definitely
No,
not
I don't
the
think so at
intent.
all.
It's so hard to explain.
That's what we have here, and so we're sort of going with
Yeah, if we had
our
some
person.
bloggers up here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, they're just two very different,
It's two
equally
different
valuable. Oh, so
Yeah, no, in the white.
I think like at the core of blogging, it's all new digital media, new content, new ways to reach really honest publishing professionals. So I understand, the difference and the importance of each, but both are something that didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago in the mainstream way that it does today. But what I would be like more curious in understanding is both as an author especially, but also as a publishing professional, if you will, being more on the B2B side. How do you have any tips or suggestions or strategies for maybe the independent author community or the small to medium sized publishers out there on how to engage and get new title awareness, not necessarily just bestseller, that's awesome, congratulations, but you've been through there and learned, like people coming through the chain who are new to this new era of publishing world, what can they do to professionally get in touch with both the B2B side of publishing as well as the B2C through the communication channel like blogging and blogging. Like how would you want them to contact you?
Independent authors contacting a blogger. Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Actually asking
All of you.
me.
Everybody. Yeah.
What are your strategies for professionalism on like new age authors, ones who are maybe not a part of major or more mainstream publishing houses, on reaching out and getting people to review their blogs if they're not necessarily published by random houses here in those types of publishing organizations?
Okay. I was gonna say one of the hardest things about being an author on social media is that you have to find the right balance between presenting your work and also just like being a person and being fun and someone you would want to follow and see what they're posting on Instagram or Twitter. So part of it is just you have to establish for yourself like what social media accounts you feel most comfortable with, and then really engage with the other authors that you find on there. And if you see someone reviewing your book, thank them. If they're tagging you, like retweet them. Just try to involve yourself. There is like a really wide YA community, and I don't really see tiers, but there are definitely different branches of it in terms of like you could be really engaged with the bloggers themselves. You can interact with the different authors, and there are authors at different levels and different stages of their careers. And it's just about being genuine and making genuine connections with other people. As genuine as you can be on social media, which I think is actually very genuine.
Well, I just want to say that, if you're talking, this is really a panel about this particular situation, but certainly for independent authors, there are lots of resources, and I mean, just from what I see in media about independent publishing, you can just look at what the other people, what the successful ones are doing, and try to emulate that. But it's it's a huge community, and I think many of them are just as supportive as I think the more traditional YA publishing community. The authors tend to be very supportive of one another. So I really think there's a lot of information available about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's networking, there's, through social media, and then there's also, things like Y'all Fest, there's these, and communities where, or festivals where you can have these face-to-face meetings as well, and opportunities that way to make the connection with fellow authors and, bloggers. So I'd say it's, it's all about the old-fashioned networking. It's just, now it's
Again,
all
it's not
online.
word of mouth. You
Yeah.
just gotta try and reach out. You had a question in red.
Thank you. For Emily and Andrew, whether it's a traditional blog or a booktube, are you a little more interested one way or the other with getting pre-pub or post-pub publicity about them?
Good question.
I'm going to repeat the question just in case
Yeah.
people couldn't hear it over the drawing. She's asking if you have a specification of importance on whether they want publicity before the book is actually published or after the book is published.
So you want to have, ideally you want some buzz before the book is on sale. We always question, do we want to go out there, 3 weeks before with stuff? Do we want to do it a month before? It really depends on the book and the author as well. If you have an author who's published other series, and this is the launch of a new series, you might be out there a few months. You might be out there in the trade even longer than that, maybe 3 months. You might do like a PW ad or an e-blast or something like that. But normally the crescendo of all the marketing mix happens right around the pub date, and I would say probably like weeks before and weeks after. And Emily's saying it depends on time of year, which I would agree with.
Christine, I think that you could have an interesting approach to this because when you are talking about a book, you don't ever do a review before the book has been published.
Yeah.
Blog.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to talk about it with people who've read it. I don't want to talk to people about what I can't say yet. My thing, I don't do book reviews. Like, I don't do strictly just, this book was good, this is a synopsis. I do book talks, book discussions. I like to discuss what's going on in the story, what's maybe going to happen in the next book. I like to just go further than that because when I read a book, I don't want to just see a review. I want to talk about everything that happened. So that's what, and people want to watch reviews of books that they've already read, and I spend a lot of time, doing these reviews, and I don't want to put one up after spending like 11 hours of work and then have not many people watch it because it just it feels like I put so much work into this and no one wants to watch it yet because no one can discuss it with me yet. It's a whole big circle here. If you can't, then they can't go buy the book and read it anyway. They'll have to wait, and then they'll forget about the video by then. So no one will ever come back and be like, Christine, I read the book and I thought this part was cool too, and let's theorize. It just doesn't work.
I think that was a cool question. Thank you. Anybody else? In the glasses with brown.
So I kind of have a question because I knew that for me, personally, like, BookTube is where I go for, like, the books that I want to read. Like, Goodreads has its recommendations, but
Yeah.
seeing you guys, I want to discuss with you guys as well. Like, how much of an impact do you guys think BookTube will have in the future on, authors doing videos with the booktubers, and also I know that a publishing company wants you to review a book for them or something. And also a side question, do you guys think you guys
videos. Lots of videos are coming with me and Christine and our friends up here. Don't worry. Yeah.
Would you do?
So, like, what do you think the impact of that?
Yeah, like what do you think? Do you think there's a future in it? Do you think it's gonna fade out? I don't think so. I hope not. It's too much fun.
I think it's so much fun.
Yes, you probably don't want to say BookTube is going to be huge. I just, from my own standpoint, I just see it getting, I see the views accruing, I see the subscriberships to the channels accruing. I can't say what it's going to be, but it seems like a good way for people to get news about books. There are people, of course, who are going to go to the blogs that they trust. And I think with, like Christine was saying earlier, it takes a while to build, for a person to say, yeah, I like that person, I probably agree with them. Maybe people read some of the books that she's reviewed, and they're in sync with her, and then they want to see more, because they're like, well, she's probably, I like her viewpoint on these books. So I guess the answer is, I would say it's a trend. I think it's something that I think will continue to grow.
I think it's kind of a generational thing too. I think a lot of teenagers now are on YouTube because they're looking up hair tutorials and makeup tutorials, speaking specifically to girls, but also
whatever boys.
Yeah.
It's funny because the biggest people on YouTube, the people on YouTube with the biggest viewerships are not celebrities normally, and we know this because we see like people who do makeup, people who talk about movies, they're YouTube celebrities, and it's funny because I feel like being a celebrity on YouTube gets you, being a celebrity out there in the world on YouTube gets you nowhere specifically, but there just are these people that have, and it takes so much time. I mean, you've done book reviews for a couple of years, and some of these people have been on, I mean, certainly YouTube's been around for a pretty long time, so people have been on there since the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, with the celebrity thing, if a celebrity makes a YouTube video, it's different. Like, you don't feel like, you don't know a celebrity like you know us. Like, people know parts of my personality, they know stories about my life, they know everything's, like, I'm telling you truth. I'm not, like, making up stories unless it's a sketch. Like, I made that up, obviously, it's a sketch. But I do story time videos and all that stuff. People know about my life, so you have a more personal connection. When a celebrity does a video, a celebrity you've seen in movies, you've seen them act as a different person. You've seen pictures of them in magazines, but you don't know their personality, so you don't know if you can connect with them on that level. You don't have that level of like loyalty to them because you don't know them. And the celebrity doesn't typically go on and do videos like that about their personal lives because they want to keep that private. They're already like huge celebrities. It's a different mindset when you watch them. And about the community, about the BookTube community, like you can really compare it to something like the Beauty Guru community, which is huge, but it started off small. And it started off like this, and then it exploded like this is happening. And the makeup community is still huge, still super successful. Everyone loves watching makeup tutorials, and
I find them awfully mesmerizing. Don't even like try to attempt it while I'm watching them, but
I think importantly too, just to look at it objectively, without our personal opinions. Christine just surpassed 100,000 subscribers a little while ago. And how many subscribers do you get on about a week?
Like a little over 2,000.
A little over 2,000 subscribers a week. So she's growing exponentially, and the bigger she gets, the more subscribers she'll get per week. And that's not just Christine, that's just general for YouTube. And so if you look at it objectively, number-wise, it's growing.
Yeah. I mean, and just to put it in perspective, like in December of 2012, I had 9,000 subscribers. This past December, I had 63,000. Right now, I just passed 109,000 or 8,000. It's just growing. The community is growing so exponentially, and that's not just me. That's the other booktubers as well.
To say something, one thing. So my day job is in publishing too. I work for a different publishing house, and when I first did a video with Christine way back in September of last year, I brought it to them too and asked them if they were interested in trying to do something with our authors, with Christine or with the other booktubers, and I really, like, up until very recently, within the past month, I had to convince them to give it a try, whereas I think that the traditional book community is much more like a tried and true method, and it's fun. I think what's been so fun about playing around on BookTube is that it's much more of an experiment.
Yeah.
in terms of it's, you know what I
It's
mean?
new
And there are different ways to take the platform.
Yeah,
instead of
it's
doing
still
like a
forming
community.
itself. It's
Yeah,
still in
it's
those
still-
new stages. There's a lot of possibilities that you can do with that. We still have time for a few more questions. Right here.
Yes, I have a question, Christine. You said your demographic is a young adult audience. I'm wondering if you get the older folks, the grandparents, do they tune into you, and is there a place for the more senior people in vlogging?
There definitely is. There's really big older YouTubers. I know, Mikola or something from the UK. He's an older YouTuber, but he does funny videos and such, and he's huge over there.
He's 32.
In the UK. He's in his 50s. He's definitely at least in his 50s. But I mean, John Green is he's almost 40, and he does great vlogs. I mean,
I meant like 55 plus.
no, I know. Still, it's all about the quality of your content. So if you're having great discussion, if you have a good personality, then people will watch you, and you'll grab probably more people in your own demographic. I mean, I have a small, feel like viewership that is 65 plus, so that's what it shows you on the YouTube. But I mean, the majority of that age group, I think, aren't on YouTube. Young kids are. A lot of them, I know, because my brother's younger and stuff, they only watch YouTube. They don't watch TV. And it's crazy. So that's why that's so big. And also because YA is that sort of demographic, But older people go to YA.
You should start a channel.
Yeah, do it.
Sorry?
You should start a channel.
There you go.
I have a question.
I had to ask this gentleman here to help me with my Twitter.
Right here, you have a
I
question.
guess this is another, vlogging versus vlogging question.
I'm just going to clear this up right now. Nobody thinks that vlogging is better than vlogging.
Yeah, I do want to say that. I don't want to offend anyone in that
They're
moment. I feel so bad that anyone feels it. I know.
Go ahead, ask your
Would you
question.
say,
I wanted to melt.
as a booktuber, you tend to focus more on just your favorite books, since it's a longer process to do each one?
Oh yeah, do you have any really negative
Reviews?
Do you have negative reviews? Do you only read the books you want to read?
I mean, I like to only read books that I know are going to be good, just because why waste your time with bad books? I've had negative reviews before. The only review that I think was really negative was my review of The Maze Runner, because I really didn't like it. But usually there's something good about the books, because I won't pick up a book that has bad reviews. The Maze Runner, everyone was read The Maze Runner, so I had to read it. That's where I read my book. A lot of my books I get from my viewers. They'll comment. They'll be like, you have to read this book. And if enough of them say it, I'm like, okay, I gotta read it. So, but if it, a lot of times, if it doesn't have a 4.0 or higher on the Goodreads, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prioritize the other.
Yeah, because sometimes, as a writer, it's hard to figure out how to put a book that I love, but I didn't hate it either. It was good.
Do we have any more questions?
I just wanted to mention though that in the tote bags is the first copy, the first book, The Darkest Minds, and a sampler of the third book, which nobody has seen yet. So
We can probably fit in one more question. Anybody have, because I saw some more hands. Anybody wants to ask a question? No? All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming.